Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. Imagine the world as it was millions of years ago, before the first cities, before the first fires. We are drifting deep beneath the crust of the earth. Down here, in the silent, heavy darkness of the mantle, there is a warmth that is as old as time itself. Everything is slow, everything is constant. Imagine the magma, a thick, glowing river of liquid stone, moving with the rhythm of the planet's heart. It is rich in silica, heavy with the minerals that will one day shape history. But for now, it just flows. It is a viscous, glowing liquid, miles beneath your feet. There is no noise here, only the immense, comforting pressure of the earth. Suddenly, a crack opens in the cooling crust above. The magma feels the pull of the surface. It begins a long, slow journey upward. As it rises, it moves through the cold layers of ancient stone, and then it breaks through. It is expelled from the mouth of a grand volcano into the cool night air, or the depths of a dark ocean. This is the moment of the thermal shock. In the blink of an eye, the liquid fire is met with an absolute cold. The atoms within the magma are dancing, moving, trying to find their places. They want to form crystals. They want to arrange themselves into the ordered, repetitive, and crystalline lattices that define almost every other mineral on this planet. They want to become rigid and structured. But they are denied that opportunity. The cold is too sudden, the transition is too violent. In a breath of geological time, the atoms are frozen. They are locked in their chaotic liquid positions forever. They are trapped in a state of quenching. What remains is not a common rock. It is something far more mysterious. It is volcanic glass, obsidian, an amorphous solid, a liquid that was frozen so fast it forgot how to become a stone. Visualize a piece of this glass. It is darker than the midnight sky. It holds within its depths the raw, unbridled energy of that ancient eruption, but that energy is now silent. It is a frozen fury. It is the world's sharpest material, born from a paradox of fire and ice. As you drift deeper into the story, feel the coolness of that glass. It is smooth, it is perfect. It is a substance that defies the standard definitions of geology, waiting in the darkness for the hand of man to find it. As you breathe slowly, let your mind shrink down smaller and smaller, until you can see the very atoms of the volcanic glass we just birthed. This is where the secret of the world's sharpest edge lies. In the common things around you, the steel of a car, the granite of a countertop, there is a hidden grain. Under a powerful microscope, these materials look like a patchwork of tiny crystals, like a field of jagged stones pressed together. When these materials are forced to break, they crack along the lines between those grains. They snap along the planes of weakness, leaving a surface that is microscopically rough and jagged. But obsidian is different. Because it has no crystalline structure, it has no grain to follow. When a master napper strikes the glass with a piece of bone, it does not shatter. It flows. It breaks in a conchoidal fracture, a clean, curved, shell-like path that is as smooth as a frozen wave. This break is so precise that it tapers down to an edge that is invisible to the human eye. We are no longer talking about millimeters. We are talking about nanometers. Imagine a standard surgical scalpel, the pride of modern engineering. Under an electron microscope, its edge looks like a serrated saw, a landscape of metallic peaks and valleys. But the obsidian blade, it remains a perfect, continuous line of glass. It is 500 times sharper than the finest steel. At 3 nanometers thin, this edge doesn't just cut, it whispers through the world. It is so fine that it glides between individual cells, unzipping the body's tissues with the silence of a dream. There is no tearing, there is no trauma, just a molecular separation. Stay in this microscopic world for a moment. Feel the absolute smoothness of the glass. There is no friction here, only the cold, dark perfection of the smoking mirror. You are drifting deeper now, moving from the science of the atom to the hands of the first humans who found this gift from the earth. Now imagine the world tens of thousands of years ago. The air is crisp and clean. The only sounds are the rustle of the leaves and the distant crackle of a campfire. You are standing in a valley, and at your feet, you find a chunk of the black volcanic glass we have been describing. It is heavy, cool, and mysterious. In this era, humans did not have machines. They did not have factories. They only had their hands, their patience, and their connection to the earth. Visualize an ancient craftsman sitting on a smooth stone. He holds a piece of obsidian in one hand and a tool made of hardened antler in the other. He does not strike the glass with brute force. That would only shatter it into useless dust. Instead, he uses pressure flaking. He leans his weight into the antler tool, pressing it against the edge of the obsidian with a steady, calm focus. Listen to the sound in your mind, a tiny, sharp click. A thin, translucent flake falls away, revealing an edge so sharp it can cut the very air. This man is the world's first engineer. He is not just making a tool, he is mastering a paradox. He is taking a brittle, fragile glass and turning it into a weapon of survival and a miracle of precision. For these early masters, obsidian was not just a stone. It was a gift from the deep fire. They treated it with reverence. They knew that a single wrong move could ruin hours of work. As you listen, imagine the patience of that craftsman. The slow, rhythmic clicking of the stone, the focus, the stillness. You're beginning to realize that our ancestors were not primitive. They were artists of the molecular scale, working with a material that modern science is still trying to fully understand. Feel that same stillness now. Let the patience of the ancient stoneworkers wash over you as we prepare to see where these blades traveled across the silent reaches of the ancient world. Now let your mind expand. Imagine the world not as a map of countries, but as a vast open wilderness of forests, mountains, and endless blue oceans. Long before the invention of the wheel, long before the first horse was tamed, obsidian was already on the move. Archaeologists call it the black gold of the Neolithic. Because obsidian only forms in very specific volcanic regions, its presence in a quiet valley thousands of miles away is a miracle of human endurance. Visualize a small wooden canoe carved from a single tree trunk. It glides silently across the Mediterranean Sea under a canopy of stars. Inside, wrapped in soft animal skins, are cores of obsidian from the islands of Melos or Lipari. These travelers were not just moving stone, they were moving the technology of their time. They paddled for days, guided by the constellations and the rhythmic pull of the tides. Every piece of glass they carried was a promise of survival. A tool for the hunt, a blade for the harvest, a gift for a distant tribe. These trade routes were the first threads of a global connection, weaving together people who spoke different languages, but shared the same need for the perfect edge. As you listen, feel the vastness of that ancient world, the silence of the long journeys, the patience required to walk for months across a continent just to trade a handful of glass for shells or furs. It was a world of slow, steady movement, a world where value was measured by the miles you walked and the fire-born stone you held in your hand. You are safe in this vastness. The world is large, and you are drifting through its ancient history, following the glint of the smoking glass as it travels from the volcano's heart to the ends of the earth. As the obsidian reaches new lands, it begins to take on a power beyond its sharpness. In the ancient valleys of Mexico and the high plateaus of the Andes, the glass becomes a bridge to the divine. Imagine a temple at dusk. The air is heavy with the scent of copal incense. Here the obsidian is not just a tool, it is a mirror. The Aztecs called it Tezcatl. They polished the flat surfaces of the volcanic glass until they were so smooth, so dark, that they could reflect the soul itself. Look into that dark mirror in your mind. It does not reflect the world as it is. It softens the light, turning the bright sun into a gentle, ghostly glow. For the priests and the healers, this was a window into the smoking mirror, a way to see the past and the future. It was a substance that belonged to the gods of the earth and the gods of the night. It was the material of the stars, fallen to the ground and frozen in the heat of a volcano. Every time a blade was napped, every time a mirror was polished, it was a ritual of connection. Feel the smoothness of that polished surface now. It is cool against your skin. It is a deep, comforting darkness that holds no secrets, only peace. You are moving through the temples of the past, guided by the soft reflection of the black glass, as we prepare to see how this material eventually met the fire of the first forges. As thousands of years pass, the world begins to change. The age of stone and glass, which had ruled for nearly 2 million years, starts to feel a new kind of heat. Imagine a small settlement at the edge of a mountain range. For the first time, humans are not just picking up what the earth provides, they are trying to melt it. The first blacksmiths are born. They gather rocks that bleed red and green when heated, the ores of copper and tin. Visualize the smoke rising from the first primitive furnaces. It is a thick, earthy smell. The air around the forge is heavy and warm. The obsidian, lying in the craftsman's pouch, watches as the soft copper is poured into clay molds. This new material is strange. It is not brittle like glass. It does not shatter when it falls. If a copper blade bends, it can be hammered back into shape. This is the birth of ductility, the ability of a material to suffer and survive. But there is a secret the blacksmiths soon discover. While their new metal tools are tough, they are dull. A copper knife cannot hold an edge like the volcanic glass. It is a trade-off that will define the next 5,000 years. We are trading the molecular perfection of the Stone Age for the resilience of the Metal Age. Feel the warmth of the furnace now. It is a comforting heat, a glowing orange light in the darkness of the past. You are witnessing the beginning of a long goodbye as the world moves from the sharpest silence to the strength of the hammer. The fires grow hotter. The blacksmiths learn to mix copper with tin, creating bronze, a material that is harder, stronger, and more durable than anything seen before. The Bronze Age spreads across the world, building empires and forging the armor of kings. Yet, even in the palaces of the Bronze Masters, the obsidian remains. In the quietest rooms, where the most delicate tasks are performed, the glass is still king. A bronze surgeon can cut, but an obsidian surgeon can heal. The ancient world is now a world of two truths, the strength of the alloy and the precision of the stone. Imagine the contrast in your mind. One material is born from the violent quenching of a volcano. The other is born from the slow, deliberate work of the forge. One is a frozen liquid. The other is a lattice of interlocking crystals. They exist side by side for centuries. The obsidian does not feel threatened. It knows that its edge is a limit of physics that no bronze can ever reach. It waits in the shadows of the great bronze cities, a reminder of a time when we were closer to the Earth's raw power. Let the weight of the bronze and the lightness of the glass settle in your mind. You are balanced between two eras, drifting through the smoke of history as the first iron begins to stir in the deep ores of the mountains. The heat intensifies once more. Humanity finds a new ore, iron. It is harder to melt, requiring a fire that breathes with the intensity of the sun. When the first iron swords are pulled from the quenching vats, the world truly changes. Iron is everywhere. It is the common metal, the material of the plow and the shield. But iron is still grainy. It is still rough on a molecular level. To the obsidian, the Iron Age looks like a world of hammers and blunt force. The fine, silent cut of the Stone Age is being replaced by the heavy, reliable strike of the Iron Age. Think of the long transition. For thousands of years, the knowledge of the glass knappers begins to fade, passed down only in secret, in the quiet corners of the world where precision still matters more than power. The obsidian is becoming a legend, a relic of a time when the world was sharper and more dangerous. You are moving through this age of iron now. Feel the strength of the metal around you, but remember the silent glass that still waits in the darkness. We are approaching the era where these two powers, glass and steel, will finally meet in the modern world. For many centuries, the world seemed to forget the secret of the volcanic glass. As the great industrial fires of the modern age began to burn, humanity turned its gaze toward steel, toward chrome, and toward the mass production of the forge. The obsidian lay dormant, buried beneath layers of earth, waiting in the silence of archaeological sites and ancient tombs. The art of the pressure flake, the delicate dance of the antler and the stone, became a whisper of the past. We moved into a world of machines, where edges were ground by spinning wheels and sharpened by the friction of sand and oil. We thought we had reached the pinnacle of sharpness with our high-carbon alloys and our surgical stainless steel. But the glass was not gone. It was merely waiting for a lens powerful enough to see its true nature. While we celebrated our modern progress, the obsidian remained what it had always been, a perfect amorphous solid, holding a level of precision that our machines could not even imagine. Imagine the glass lying in the dark soil, unchanging, unaffected by the passage of time or the rust that slowly claimed the iron and the bronze. It is patient, it is eternal, and soon the eyes of modern science would turn back to this ancient gift to rediscover what the Stone Age masters always knew. In the middle of the 20th century, we developed a new way to see. We built the electron microscope, a device that does not use light, but beams of electrons to reveal the hidden architecture of the world. For the first time, we could see the jagged saw of our finest medical scalpels. Visualize the image on the screen. A high-grade steel blade, which looks perfectly smooth to the naked eye, is revealed to be a landscape of chaos. It is a mountain range of metallic grains, uneven and rough, tearing through the air at a microscopic level. Then the scientists placed a freshly knapped flake of obsidian under that same lens. The room went silent. Where they expected to see the same jagged peaks, they found nothing. Only a smooth, continuous line that seemed to vanish into infinity. They zoomed in further, 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. The edge remained a perfect dark curve. It was a moment of profound irony. Our most advanced technology had finally become powerful enough to prove that our oldest tool was still the superior one. Feel the stillness of that realization. We had spent thousands of years trying to outforge the volcano, only to find that the volcano had reached the finish line before we even started. You are drifting now into the modern laboratory, where the ancient glass is about to make its triumphant return to the operating room. Now, imagine the precision of a modern surgical suite. It is quiet, sterile, and bathed in a soft blue light. In the hand of a specialized surgeon, there is a tool that looks like a relic from a museum, but it is the most advanced instrument in the room, an obsidian scalpel. When this blade touches the skin, something miraculous happens. Because it is only 3 nanometers thin at the edge, it does not create the crush injury of a steel blade. It does not tear the delicate walls of the cells. Instead, it glides between them. Think of it as unzipping the tissue at a molecular level. Because the cut is so clean, the body's healing response is different. There is less inflammation. There is less trauma. The cells can find their way back together with a precision that leads to faster recovery and scars that are almost invisible. It is the ultimate paradox of the 21st century. We are using the fire of the earth and the skill of the Stone Age to achieve the highest level of medical care. Feel the calm of that precision, the silence of the perfect cut. You are resting in the hands of a technology that is both ancient and future, a bridge of glass that connects us to our very beginnings. As you drift deeper into the past, imagine a city of gold and stone rising from the mists of a great lake. This is Tenochtitlan, the heart of the Aztec Empire. Here, obsidian was not just a tool, it was the foundation of power. For a civilization that never developed iron or bronze for war, they found their strength in the fire of the volcano. Visualize the Aztec warrior in the soft light of dawn. In his hand, he holds the macuahuitl, a heavy wooden paddle, its edges set with razor-sharp prisms of obsidian. These were not simple blades. They were a work of brutal and precise engineering. Every prism was glued into deep grooves with natural adhesives, creating a weapon that could decapitate a horse with a single blow. It was a weapon of absolute efficiency, a tool of war that reached the molecular level of sharpness. The Spanish conquistadors, in their heavy steel armor, looked at these glass blades with a fear they had never known. They saw how the obsidian did not bend, it did not blunt, it only bit deeper. It was the god knife, a material that commanded respect and dictated the borders of an empire. As you listen, feel the weight of that history, the silence of the Aztec night, where the only light reflects off the dark glass edges of 1,000 blades. You are safe in the shadow of this ancient power, moving toward the deeper mysteries of the stone. Beyond the battlefield, obsidian held a spiritual weight that was even heavier. The Aztecs believed that this glass was a piece of the divine, a substance that could see through the veil of the physical world. They looked into their polished obsidian mirrors and saw not their own faces, but the secrets of the gods. Imagine the stillness of a sacred chamber. The only sound is the low, steady chant of a priest. He holds a mirror of dark glass, its surface so perfect it seems to draw the light into itself. It was a tool for scrying, for looking into the smoke and the shadows to find the truth. In their mythology, the smoking mirror was the symbol of Tezcatlipoca, the god of the night sky and ancestral memory. The obsidian was his eye on earth. It was a material that bridged the gap between the fire of the eruption and the cold stillness of the night. Feel that connection now. The obsidian is a bridge between the earth and the stars. It is a material that reminds us that everything, even the hardest stone, is born from motion and change. You are drifting through the smoke of those ancient temples, guided by the dark, peaceful light of the sacred glass. Let us return for a moment to the science of this dark beauty. Why is it black? Why does it hold that deep, impenetrable darkness? Under the microscope of the chemist, we find the answer in the trace elements. Tiny amounts of iron and magnesium are scattered like dust throughout the silica glass. If you were to see obsidian in its purest form, it might be as clear as water. But the volcano adds its own signature. Sometimes, microscopic bubbles of gas are trapped during the sudden freeze, creating a sheen obsidian that glows like gold or silver when the light hits it just right. Imagine these tiny bubbles, frozen for millions of years, waiting to catch a single ray of sun. It is a liquid frozen in its chaotic state, an archive of a moment of pure violence, now turned into a masterpiece of stillness. As you listen, think of your own memories as trace elements in the glass of your mind. They give you your color, they give you your depth. You are like the obsidian, born from heat, shaped by the world, and now finding your own perfect, quiet stillness in the night. Every piece of obsidian on this planet is a traveler, but it never forgets its home. Even after thousands of years, even after being buried in the ruins of a city miles from where it was born, the glass carries a secret code. Archaeologists today use a process called chemical fingerprinting. They use X-rays to look deep into the molecular makeup of the stone. You see, every volcano has its own unique recipe of trace elements, tiny amounts of rubidium, strontium, or zirconium that were mixed into the magma millions of years ago. Imagine a researcher in a quiet laboratory, holding a small black arrow point found in the heart of a desert. As the machines scan the glass, the signature of a specific volcano in a distant mountain range begins to appear on the screen. It is as if the stone is finally speaking its name. This is how we know the true scale of ancient human ambition. We have found obsidian from the Mediterranean on the shores of the Baltic Sea. We have found obsidian from the volcanic peaks of the Andes in the deep jungles of the Amazon. As you listen, think of your own journey. No matter how far you travel, you carry your own story within you, just like the glass. Feel the peace of knowing that every piece of the puzzle has a place where it belongs. You are part of a vast, interconnected history, drifting through the silent networks of the ancient world. Let us return to the stillness of the craft. To understand the obsidian, one must understand the napper, the person who speaks the language of the stone. This is an art that requires a level of patience that our modern world has almost forgotten. Visualize the hands of the master once more. They are steady. They are calm. He knows that he cannot force the glass. He must invite it to break. He uses a technique called indirect percussion. He places a small punch made of bone against a precise point on the obsidian core and taps it with a wooden mallet. The sound is a soft musical tink. In that instant, a shockwave travels through the glass at thousands of miles per hour. It follows the path of least resistance, a perfect curving wave that detaches a blade of impossible sharpness. This is not just labor, it is a meditation. Every flake that falls is a decision made in silence. Every edge that is revealed is a testament to human focus. As you drift, let that same focus wash over you. There is no rush. There is only the rhythm of the work. The steady, quiet unfolding of the perfect form from the raw, dark stone. We return now to the present, to the sterile halls of modern medicine, where the ancient glass has found a new purpose. While steel has served us well for centuries, there are moments where it is simply too coarse for the delicacy of the task. In the world of neurosurgery and ophthalmology, where we work with the brain and the eyes, the margin for error is measured in microns. Some of the world's most skilled surgeons choose an obsidian blade for these moments. They know that a steel scalpel, no matter how expensive, is a blunt instrument compared to the volcanic glass. Imagine the surgeon's hand guided by a microscope. The obsidian blade glides through the tissue with so little resistance that the surgeon must relearn how to feel the cut. Because the blade is so thin, it does not push the tissue aside. It simply moves between the cells. The result is a wound that heals with a quiet efficiency. The body does not recognize the intrusion as a trauma, so it does not respond with heavy scarring. It is a healing that is as silent and clean as the blade itself. Feel the safety of that precision. The world is becoming more refined, more careful. We are learning to use the tools of our ancestors to protect our future. You are resting in a place of absolute care, where the sharpest edge in the world is used to bring the most gentle healing. As you drift on the edge of sleep, consider the strange nature of this material once more. Obsidian is what we call an amorphous solid. It is a substance that exists in a beautiful, permanent state of betweenness. It is a solid that has the internal soul of a liquid. Most things in our world strive for order. They want to be structured, predictable, and crystalline. But obsidian found its power in the chaos. It found its legendary sharpness by refusing to conform to the rigid patterns of other stones. Think of your own mind right now. You are leaving the rigid structures of the day behind. You are becoming amorphous, like the glass. Your thoughts are beginning to flow, losing their sharp edges, softening into the dark, quiet liquid of dreams. There is a profound strength in this state, to be flexible, to be smooth, to be unbroken by the pressures of the world. Like the obsidian, you have endured the heat and the shock, and now you are finding your own perfect, silent form in the darkness. Feel the peace of being unpatterned and free. The volcano that birthed this glass may have fallen silent millions of years ago, but its story is still being told. Every time you touch a piece of obsidian, you are touching a direct connection to the deep fire of our beginnings. It is a reminder that the earth is alive and that it carries a long, patient memory. Imagine the layers of time as soft blankets being laid over you. One layer for the Stone Age, one for the bronze, one for the iron, and a final soft layer for the present moment. Beneath all these layers, the obsidian remains unchanged. It does not rust. It does not decay. It is a symbol of the eternal. As you listen to the low rumble of the earth in the music, feel yourself sinking into that same timelessness. You are part of the earth's memory now. Your breath is the breath of the wind over the volcanic peaks. Your heartbeat is the slow pulse of the mantle far below. Everything is connected. Everything is still. We have traveled from the molten core to the surgeon's hand. We have walked the ancient trade routes and stood in the shadow of Aztec temples. Now, the journey is complete. The black glass has led you back to the most important place of all, the silence within yourself. Visualize the smoking mirror one last time. It is perfectly smooth, perfectly dark, perfectly still. Look into its depths and see only the soft, gentle darkness of a night without end. There are no more stories to tell, no more facts to learn. There is only the cool, comforting weight of the glass. Let your breath become as slow as the cooling magma. Let your mind become as clear as the finest obsidian blade. You are descending now into the deep, dark, and healing sleep that the earth provides for all its children. The fire is gone. The shock is over. Only the glass remains. Sleep now. Sleep in the silence of the stone. Sleep in the peace of the molecular edge.